All right, let's get into cannabis as a bioaccumulator and an antigen plant and an enhancer. And that is a very important word to understand, because when you consume cannabis with other substances, it can enhance them, make them stronger, or have the effects seem more potent and those types of things. So we're going to get into that in a minute with the pills you take and how people say, well, cannabis has gotten stronger over there. No. It hasn't gotten stronger. You have gotten weaker. All right. And we're going to bring this together so you can get stronger again. The antigen plant, it goes in and fixes whatever is wrong with you. All right. So since people have, when they go and look in the mirror and they see this problem or that problem, physically or spiritually, whatever's going on with them, it's going to go in and fix that. And people are not ready to fix that. All right. And with drugs and whatever, you kind of have to be taught how to use them in a way, unless you're just like a natural. And this is where there's somebody at the party who is looking after people and kind of talks you down out of your trip or whatever's going on. Okay. And you don't want that person being some fucking pervert according to the rule structure, okay, where they're going to go and do this, that, or the other to a woman when they pass out. Or that's where you get people, different levels of the game, right? Where you get these flashy dudes, or they use their drugs or whatever to get the women or the blowjobs or whatever kind of thing, right? And then there's also people who don't abuse women or men or whatever for that kind of thing, okay? So if you've ever been in this type of, actually you are in that type of thing when you go to the doctor. You see these doctors that are focused on this shit, or you see the doctors over here. There's doctors who want to cut little boys' balls and have them cough. Oh yeah, that's all to make sure they're okay to play football. Well shit, do we need to, I mean, they're playing football on the street every day. So it's just an excuse to cup the balls, all right? We got to finger bang your butthole. Another reason. The pap smear, the finger banging, whatever, okay? The woman on woman, this is where that divide comes in, where likes have been divided, okay? Nothing wrong with a gynecologist, but it should be a woman with a woman according to the so-called church rules, all right? But otherwise, just understand you're going to some possibly like 80% chance fucking pervert finger banging you. So it's just part of the you gotta realize there's nothing wrong with these things. What's wrong with it is how it's being given to you, and there's no time and place for it. And back in the day, if you were in those X time frames, the ecstasies and the clubs and those types of things, there was a time and place for all those things, and they move all this stuff because it's all to show and to teach us that there's nothing wrong with this. What's wrong with it is generally the place that they're given for it, and then what's wrong with it is this and this happens, and there's some fucking asshole that has to go in and rape some chick or do whatever. Okay, so it just takes one fucking asshole to run it for the whole party. And that's also where you have one asshole, one moral, one light of one's imposed reality coming in. And now it's on. But back to the cannabis and the antigen plant and fixing us spiritually, emotionally, physically, and whatever else. It has the power to do these things. And the problem with cannabis is it's like people, it's a fractal light, and every seed is literally different, and you don't know what it's going to be until it's grown. And then also another amazing thing about it is that you can take this seed, grow it up, and it will be this over here. And you take a genetic from that plant, and you grow it over here on the other side of the world. It will be completely kind of different or whatever, and have different things. It's just like us. While we are us, we are not us. Because if we were born in Africa or India or whatever, I would be me, but I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be American Jeremy. I would be American or Indian Jeremy, or whatever kind of fucking thing is going on here. So, there's so much that these people have to wrap their mind on, and that's where the cannabis is going to come in and going to help them get outside the box. And that's why they took cannabis away and gave you spirits. There's nothing wrong with alcohol. It's the type of alcohol you are drinking and how you're drinking it. And drinking it for the sole purpose to go get drunk out of the bars and all these things is that type of way of using it wrong. There are spiritual components and downloads and all these things that are connected to all these things, and alcohol is a medicine in the official terms. So that medicine is where you're seeing a dark light of a God, so to speak, that's within you, and all these things are within you. And alcohol affects everybody different. Pot affects everybody. Somebody can smoke the same strand in a circle, and you see this dude like, nah, nah, and you see this, ha, and whatever else, and he's one dude, I wonder if the clouds and all this other shit, right? So there's just, it doesn't affect everybody. It's all within each person. So knowing all this stuff too is where everybody has to get grips of themselves. Why is the pot making me feel this way? Or why, how can I, and that's where you got to do stuff. You have to be taught how to be high. Otherwise, something's going to stone you to death, so to speak. All right? So all these drugs you have to be taught how to use, or you end up overdosing or whatever. And that's where we hear all these people going to the emergency room, or why people are freaking out if a dog or a cat or whatever, or a child consumes cannabis. Or it's like they tell you that you cannot OD on it, that you can consume this many 30 pounds all in a whatever kind of session at the, it's like impossible to fucking do. So, and your Lord coming in the cloud, your tobacco and shit or whatever, that's a health product and another level as far as the devil's lettuce and y'all being brainwashed. And they basically can just come in, and it's not the tobacco, it's the 1,000 fucking chemicals they're spraying on it. So if you want to smoke tobacco, you need to go and get about a pound of organic, slow-dried tobacco or whatever. You can get some mixed leaves, however you want to do it, but roll your own, okay? And you will get probably hundreds of dollars worth of cigarettes for $25, all right? You just got to do it, and you get the energy exchange, and it's fun, and all these types of things that are going on as far as cooking it up, and the wizardry and the magic and working with the waters and the input and output of the black hole and whatever else. So this is kind of where the black hole and the Jabba the Hutts and all this kind of like just consuming itself as the earth rebuilds itself and the black hole rebuilds itself. This is where periodic table stacks and this, the mountains, the minerals, the gold, all those types of things. We can see man loaded down with all these types of chemicals. You come in and blast the shit out of them, right? And you rebuild the mountains and valleys and whatever else. And then you bring in new gems and Nancy's and whatever else that you wear. So all these, the diamonds and the rocks and all this stuff all going together, and the rocks being living, and this is where everything cycles in, and where the rocks, old rocks that we see can be old, basically blasted parts of bodies and whatever else, and it goes smaller and smaller through time and whatever else. Either way, one second. So back to the antigen and bioaccumulating on the enhancing plant of cannabis. The antigen part is where it goes in and senses whatever, and the bioaccumulation is where it's pulling it out, okay? So this is where you consume the Christos and the oil and the light and the gas and vapors. All these things is what quantum teaches us about what light is, or what plants are or whatever. So as we're consuming this and we're getting knowledge of the ether and the light coming in through the new light through the black hole as the new light comes in through everything and pushes out in ways. So as all these things are going, right, the cannabis plant is going to be used for the healing of nations and the healing and the healing and all that works in different ways. But as far as the making the third temple better, because the third temple has been used this way, that way, or whatever, and the trees growing, money growing on trees, and cannabis being different genetics and having to search out these genetics, and then also the Phylos universe logging the genetics on another level. That's where you can have the pharmaceutical vapor cannabis pills or whatever kind of thing coming in on another level for the edibles versus the cannabis on the new Satan Jesus structure coming and setting up for a new world. And these things can kind of go in here and then break off kind of into the natural setting. But this is also where it's important on who rules in the future, because you don't want to go into that projection as far as that like this and there's no fucking greenery or whatever kind of thing going on. Okay. But that's where also some of these places are going into that place where there's no greenery as far as spiritually speaking. Okay. And then also the monkeys and whatever, they can only smoke if somebody hands it to them. They can't just go and break out of the zoo and that kind of thing and get their cigarettes themselves. Okay, so, and then the other types of beasts, they can't even smoke. So all these things are kind of tying into some things that we're showing and connections as far as what's within us and how we operate as under the eagle, the ox, the lion, alien, and man, and whatever else. So, as we are the people and the majority are filled with this, that, and the other chemical that is covering up these illnesses or mental whatever is going on with these people where they are stressed out in life and they fear this, that, and the other, and they just wake up pissed off or whatever's going on in their life, okay, where they can't handle life. These people basically can't handle life that they have actually created for them or whatever kind of thing. They just can't fucking stop. It's the self-feeding beast where it's boom, 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 okay? So as cannabis comes, you see people who triggered who becoming vegan. I'm sure we'll see the cannibals trigger soon, and then or soon enough with the rabies people. And then you have the people who probably won't be able to smoke cannabis or do those types of things. So then the people who can't smoke cannabis, they'll want to go and make their fucking city smokeless to where you can't fucking smell or anything. You can't barbecue. You can't do no fucking thing. And whatever happened to top old kind of fun. So that's also the whatever. All right. See it getting worse and worse and worse. And if we don't do something now in the next, like now to 5, 10 now kind of thing, as far as a historical projection, then we're all fucked again. Huh. But this time it's not going to be fucked good. The last time we've been getting fucked, but we've been liking it, right? The next 50, 70 years where you're getting fucked, but you're getting either fucked in the ass or you're getting strung up like the woman in the church. Open your legs every night for me, woman. I'll beat you with the Bible. I'm that Bible beater. Huh. Man. Come quickly, baby Jesus. These women need your help down here. So as it's sucking out all these chemicals, right? And people who are like, bigger you are, the more you're starving and whatever else. And it's just like a self-feeding beast. But this is where you get the munchies. And the munchies are telling you to eat. But you've been eating food that doesn't nourish you, where you're actually starving. So you get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's people, well, cannabis makes me fatter. Well, what are you eating on that? Okay? Because that will tell us a lot. And the way our world is working, and the people going deeper and deeper into the family, not realizing that each time man and woman come together, that's when the family is created, and you follow that new family light. You don't follow the old family light, all right? But everyone in this projection is following after the old family light due to the so-called inheritance and whatever else. So, as cannabis is going to suck out these chemicals and detox, you got to have the right foods and right whatever. It's going to make everything go worse and worse and worse. And this is where you can actually set up a divide where this state is banning this state's banning this, Snap's doing this. They're kind of doing it on these types of levels where the government's doing it for you in subsections in a way. So as the subsection is coming with the robots and that flood and the currency and the drying of the waters or whatever, you kind of been in those flood waters where everything's corrupt, everything's just going right, stores are full and you don't know what to eat and you're ultra processed and whatever. It should be very apparent to you what to eat, but the parent, the dark side, the middle one, has been taking control. All right, so either way, oh man, the parables go on and on. So as cannabis is an enhancer, and when you smoke it after consuming alcohol or doing this drug or that drug or whatever, it will intensify it a lot of times. And then also if you do it with the uppers, it will kind of mellow it out in a way. So the ones with the Xanax and there's certain ones, the mental ones and shit, SSRIs and whatever, that's where cannabis can bring you down. All right. And cannabis can make you stoned or it can make you high. And like most drugs, you have to be taught how to be high. You have to be taught how to use them in a way so you're not the one panicking and fucking out and freaking out in the corner or whatever else, right? Or so-called jumping off a building and whatever other bullshit they used to say. But it worked. It scared the shit out of a lot of us for a while. And then we got to a certain age and it just happened that this and whatever came across the table and went, well, shit, they were fucking lying. So that's where the lion, the scar, that Lion King and Simba has all got to come up within you. And you got to be the Simba, the new child, the holding up with the monkeys. So as the enhancer, it's going to, if you're on those downers and such, it's going to pull you further down. And that's also in the mind. If you're thinking about this, that, or the other, or your job, or boss, or the amen you worship, as far as whoever you revolve your light around, if they're casting some type of fear on you, it's going to accentuate that fear. And that's where you get that paranoia and you start cycling in the mind and wondering if they're going to drug test you at work or whatever kind of thing. Okay. So as the body is loaded down with all this darkness, the cannabis plant, when you consume it, is pulling out all the darkness and turning into the light, and that light is coming out in the form of questions like, why am I doing, why, or this cycle in the mind. And that's also part of learning to be high and stoned or whatever, because that cycle, as far as being stoned, is where you get in that cycle and that paranoia where you're going down, down, down. And then the cycle of being high is this or whatever. And there's times that these things work together, obviously, to be the teacher, because all the plants that have some type of spiritual effect within us are teachers. And that's why they also call the mushroom the golden teacher, and the the Jesus the Most High, the psychedelics, and the going into heaven and seeing another reality all within thyself, and seeing how when you do this, that, or the other, the temple of God, the right hand sees the left hand sees the right hand in a way, and the eyes become the ears becomes the taste becomes the feel becomes the eye. All those types of things are intermingled as you take certain substances or whatever. And when you don't consume cannabis on a when you just use it every now and then, or you do certain levels of hashish and whatever, it will give you those types of hallucinogens or whatever. So it is a hallucination plant, and as it's a hallucination plant, that alanation and the Lucy and all those things are all playing together as these things are forming. And the Lucy is the acid, which is the daughter of Satan, which is tied to the ribonucleic acid that people took for their son of Satan, as they become the sun and reflect the light of all these things as they're going into the eclipse. Okay, so as either way, the plant, it pulls out heavy metals. It pulls out and that's the heavy metals as far as like that toxicity with that socialization you live in and whatever else on different levels. But it can also take you deeper into it if you don't know how to use it right. So this is with alcohol and all these drugs or whatever, the hallucination, the acid and the ketamine and the mushrooms or whatever. These are kind of used in a different way. They're not like the addictive stuff that they talk about, drugs or whatever. And then they're being used for a lot differently than you're like going out now, and you have to plan for it. A lot of times it's a 6, 8, 12 hour event, maybe 24-hour event or whatever. You just can't go out and either way, man. It's where your spiritualness, the spirits of the dark side and whatever, where it makes you black out. That's also part of the black hole and whatever, where you're consuming all these spirits, the stuff that collects on the planets. The planets are a fast push out as far as the black hole of quantum light. And then you're consuming all these things on a massive level as far as a spiritual, a light level. And that's where the people just get loose and the spirits just start taking over you, right? So that's where all these things are kind of going in on a physical level to affect the spiritual level as that permanent and that motion picture game, the electricity, all these things that come on as man merges with a machine in one way, shape, or form, and all that stuff. So either way, we have a net within our head, your brain. We have a net upon this earth. All these things are all connecting together as we are the antenna. And the antenna and the red queen and the mound and the stingers and all that kind of thing are all going together. Okay, folks? So either way, we'll end it here because the cannabis plant is our friend.